FM.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth. 93.7 The Ticket.
1, 2, 3.
This is The Ticket High School Saturday.
Well done, well done, well done.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's go 3-0 and let's come sit down and drink some Gatorade.
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studio. Here is your host, Nick Sainert.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, folks. We've made it to the weekend. This is the High School Saturday Show on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainert here with you, spending 1 hour of your Saturday morning with you. It's a very exciting day here in Lincoln. Obviously, we've been talking about it all week on the daily shows. But you have the big matchup between Nebraska and Michigan tonight at 6:30. We'll get you ready for that one. The guys will be down at Tipsy Tina's starting at 4 p.m. for getting you ready for Nebraska-Michigan on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. So stop by Tipsy Tina's. But now let's dive into some high school stuff. We'll have our normal guests. Joe Davis will call in shortly after 9:10 or so. And then in the second segment, we'll be joined by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star, as we are every Saturday, to give us the lowdown on what's going on around the state. He was out at Ashland Greenwood and Wahoo last night. He was also watching Lincoln Southeast and Bellevue East on Thursday. That was a little bit of a blowout. We've been talking about in recent weeks how Lincoln Southeast hasn't really found their way on offense quite yet. Obviously, they have a lot of weapons in Husker commit Jake Applegate, in Husker baseball commit Max Butenbach in the backfield at running back. But they had to replace McGinnis Schneider at quarterback. So we've been talking the last couple weeks about how Lincoln Southeast has kind of just hit a speed bump, especially on offense. On the defensive side of the ball, they've been okay. They've ran into some good teams. Lincoln East, obviously, kind of separated themselves as the best team in the city a couple weeks back when they played Lincoln Southeast. They played North Platte. We'll talk about that a little bit. Two contrasting styles there with North Platte's heavy run game. They average over 250 rushing yards a game. They don't ask their quarterback, Caleb Tonkinson, to throw it all that often. And then Lincoln East is the complete opposite. They throw the ball a crazy amount with Noah Walters. He threw 5 touchdown passes again last night. Noah Walters did. And I want to be careful because I think that this station, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's becoming a huge Noah Walters fan club. I'm on the fan club. I know Happer's on the fan club. Mike Schaefer is part of it. Rico's part of it. We all love Noah Walters, but also we've been able to watch him quite a bit, not only this year, but last year. And this year, he's elevated his play so much that and he's not getting recruited to the level that we all would have expected. Obviously, some of the complaints are that he's too short, stuff like that. But he is in talks with Iowa State, I saw on his Twitter account. He had some offers from Wayne State, Bemidji State. All those guys are involved. And there's still a couple of weeks left in the season as well. And he's been more active on Twitter, I've noticed, the last couple of weeks, posting highlights and stuff. But like I was saying, he threw 5 touchdown passes again last night. And here's the crazy stat. Let me look at it, make sure I don't get it wrong here. It was the 5th straight game for Noah Walters in where he threw 5 touchdown passes or more at high school. That's awesome. Something like that we haven't been able to see, especially in Lincoln. And I know people sometimes. I was at Seacrest a couple weeks ago. And they asked me, they weren't happy that we were saying how big of a gap there was between Lincoln and Omaha. And I don't want to talk about this every single week. But I mean, let's being realistic. That's just how it is, I guess. I mean, that's just the way that the cookie crumbles, I guess. Lincoln's talent has been exceptional and is growing in the last couple years. It's definitely starting to catch up. As always, 402-464-5685. Feel free to call in. talk about your team, talk about whatever is on your mind, whether it's high school stuff, whether it's high school volleyball. We'll talk about that in the final segment, whether it's high school softball. They're reaching the postseason time. Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685, as well as on the Starter Heyman text line. Same number there. You can also join us on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. It's Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We can throw your comment up there on the screen. We'll be all good to go. We'll get you guys involved that way. As always, the show High School Saturday is sponsored by Ambition Electric, providing quality and reliable electric work for nearly 20 years. Contact our good friend Joe Davis for any of your electrical needs at 402-217-3415. All right, so I mentioned it at the beginning of the show here just a couple minutes ago. Lincoln Southeast. I talked about how their offense was kind of sputtering a little bit. Yes, Bellevue East is not anywhere close to Bellevue West, number one, but also is not as good as a lot of the other teams in the state that Lincoln Southeast would play. So take this for as you will. Lincoln Southeast won on Thursday night 35-0, so a commanding win that, frankly, Coach Gatula needed. The whole staff needed. They put up a total of 24 points in their previous 3 weeks combined. And Southeast has now put up 35 points in each of their previous 2 games, if that makes sense. So after scoring 24 total points in 3 weeks in a row combined, they've put up 35 in each of their last 2 games. Wilhelm Reddick, we've talked about him before. We've talked about him a lot. We'll talk about him in the weeks to come. Was 8 for 11, 114 yards. So not glamorous stats necessarily, but he did the job. 2 touchdown passes. And when I've been able to watch Lincoln Southeast, we've seen it before. They haven't necessarily been able to get Jake Applegate involved in the receiving game. Obviously, he plays both sides of the ball. And when I talked to Coach Gatula preseason, he said that's a huge key, obviously, and they don't want to wear him out. But also, Jake Applegate's one of the best athletes in the state. And something that they haven't been doing in recent weeks is necessarily getting him involved. Now, part of that, give credit to the defense and the teams that they play for being able to shut down a guy like Jake Applegate on the perimeter, I should say. But also, if you're Lincoln Southeast, you're trying to find new ways to get number 7 involved. Well, they did last night, or on Thursday, I should say. 4 catches, 58 yards. He caught both those touchdown passes from his quarterback. His season statistics now, 22 catches, 338 yards, 7 touchdowns. I was looking at this time last year. He's actually having a better season defensively as well, because at this time last year, he has a couple more tackles than he did through 6 games last year. And so Jake Applegate's having even a better senior season than he'd had his junior year, which was when really people started taking note. Lincoln Southeast, like I said, they're now 5-2 on the year. They play Gretna next Friday. That could be there's a couple good matchups. We'll talk to Joe and Luke here. I'm going to be out at Norris next Friday night for Pius and Norris. You'll hear that one here on the ticket. But that one's an old Class B matchup, if you remember that. It still doesn't feel right that Pius is necessarily in Class A, just because that's not what we're used to. Even though I went to Pius, it still doesn't feel right that they're in Class A. I understand there's people out there that, think that Pius needs to be in Class A and got mad when Pius won the Class B state title game in basketball and stuff. That's not what I'm necessarily talking about. But I'm talking about for rivalries and stuff like that. Pius and Norris, that's one of the rivalries. And so that one's a super exciting matchup. Next, there's a couple other good ones, Gretna and Lincoln Southeast. Junior quarterback Zane Flores. For Gretna, that'll be a good matchup to watch on Friday night out just about 30 minutes away from Lincoln. Excuse me. All right, let's keep moving here. There was an interesting turn of events. I have to send my congratulations out to Omaha Bryan. They have had a tough couple years, I should say, finding some wins. But get this. They played Omaha Benson. They beat Omaha Benson 24-21. Hector Alvarado of Omaha Bryan hits a 28-yard field goal as the clock expires to snap Omaha Bryan's 23-game losing streak. 23 games gone. But that wasn't even the interesting part. After that, there were fights that started to break out. Students began storming onto the field. That was a bad mix of just students storming onto the field and players, jawing back and forth at each other. But however, it didn't stop there. I was following this whole thing on Twitter last night, and the on-field incidents continued into the parking lot. And so Omaha Bryan, they snapped, but the bigger story, like I said, Omaha Bryan, they snapped their 23-game losing streak. Omaha Benson, this is why I think that Benson kind of took it the wrong way. They were searching for their 4th win of the season, and they hadn't had 4 wins in 12 years. They were searching for their 4. They hadn't had 4 wins in a season. I should have said that differently. 4 wins in a season in 12 years. So there was a lot on the line. And if you're Benson, you're probably thinking, oh, these guys are coming in with a 23-game losing streak. We have a chance to get our 4th win for the first time in 12 seasons. You think you have a chance. 464-5685. Feel free to chime into the show all hour long. We'll be joined by Joe Davis here shortly, giving us the news on Norris. They had a big win last night, 49-0 over Crete. They're still fighting for their playoff spot. I just checked the wild card standings. Here right before I came onto the show, and Norris is 10th in Class B, and so they have a little bit of work to do in that department, but they have a chance against Pius next week, and Pius, we'll get to Joe here in just a second. He's just calling right now, but Pius, they got down early last night. They played Omaha North at home. I headed out to that one for a while. I also went to Creighton Prep Northeast, which we'll get to here in a couple minutes. But Omaha North and Pius got down early. They fumbled. They had a bad snap on a punt. Excuse me. And they had a bad snap on a punt. Got down early. Matt Bowie ran it up the middle, fumbled. In a blink of an eye, with I think 6 minutes left in the first quarter, Pius was down 14-0. But we'll get to the rest of that after we get to Joe Davis here. We are now joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 464-5685, by Joe Davis of Ambition Electric. Joe, how's it going?
Good morning, Nick. It's not bad. Just another working Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. All right. So you guys get a big win last night, 49-6 over Crete. Or no, 49-6 or 49-0. Did you guys shut them out?
48-7.
48-7. Oh, I apologize. Max Preps had the score wrong there. All right. So you guys get the big win, 48-7. What was it? How did that game unfold in front of your eyes?
It's a little surprising. I didn't expect it to be that much of a blowout. Crete was down a couple starters. I think their running back and maybe a linebacker were out. But, it just shows what can happen each week in Class B. I mean, I've said it all year that Class B is always a crapshoot. It's one week you're at the bottom of the totem pole, the next week you're on the top. It's just kind of how Class B goes and has for the last several years. And next week's not going to be any different,
Yeah.
Whoever shows up.
Yeah, you talk about Class B being a crapshoot. I guess what is the opportunity that lies ahead for Norris still here with a couple weeks left? I just mentioned before we brought you on that they still have a little bit of ground to make up for the postseason. That doesn't mean that they're out of it by all means. And so what do you think the head coach Ty Twarling's message to the guys is going into these next couple weeks, the final couple weeks of the season?
I don't know what his message is, but mine is keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We seen last night what a difference Cooper Hausman and at quarterback makes. I mean, we didn't have him for the Platte Smith game last week. He came back last night for the first half and put up 35 points. that kid is something special. I mean, he's able to make the throws. He can drop throws on a dime, but when he's not given the time, he extends plays with his legs, and the kid is quick. I mean, he's still young. I mean, he's a senior, but he's still young, and he tries to make plays that aren't there sometimes. But last night he protected the ball. He extended plays with his legs, and he was phenomenal last night. If we have that Cooper Hausman coming forward, that same kid that we had last night, if we have him next week and again in 2 weeks at Waverly, there's no doubt in my mind we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to make a run.
Yeah,
but we got to have the certainty there in Cooper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you about Cooper, but I guess we can transition to the defensive side of the ball now. You guys forced a couple turnovers last night, a couple interceptions. I think I saw that you guys had a fumble as well. How good is this defense capable of being, if that makes sense?
They could be the top defense in Class B if they do everything they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, you could tell they watched film. They watched the film on Crete. They knew exactly what they were going to run. They were going to run some run pass option. They were going to run some triple option. They were going to run some dives up the middle. And, their quarterback floats the ball. If you just sit there and watch, the quarterback throws the ball try to float it over the defender's head. Our backs are quick. As long as they're looking back for that ball, we're going to pick them off. That's the nice thing about film study is you can see all their tendencies. And Hunter and I spent, majority of the week in the evenings watching film, and just from formations and how the linemen line up, exactly what they're going to run. And it's not, it's not rocket science. It's high school football, and kids have tells, they haven't learned to hide them yet. So if the defense watches their film, they're going to be able to know exactly what play is coming before the ball's even snapped. And they just got to do what they're supposed to and do their homework a little bit.
It's been a couple weeks since you and I have specifically talked. I know Big Sky filled in for me a couple times here. And I've asked you this question before, but I want to ask you again because I'm curious to see if it changes throughout the course of a season. Who are the leaders on each side of the ball?
On your offense, it's definitely Cooper Hausman. Cooper Hausman, actually, there's a few of them on offense. Mm-hmm. Colton Woolstrom, Cooper Hausman, and Cale Consbrook. Those dudes put out so much heart and energy, fire guys up. And they're leading by example. I mean, they come back when they're not 100%, but they still give 100%. And just watching the way those guys lead by example blows my mind. On defense, you've got some younger guys stepping up. You got Holt. He's a linebacker. He's a sophomore. Anytime he's in there, he comes out and he makes plays, and he spends the rest of the time on the sideline trying to fire the guys up. Cooper Spalding, another guy, leads by example. He doesn't say a lot, but when he speaks, they listen. He's one of them Dylan Meyer types. That's what the guys like, and that's what I respect.
Actually, I want to talk about Dylan Meyer for a second because he's at Bemidji State right now. Talk about how Norris has been trying to kind of not necessarily replace him, but make up for what they lost in Dylan Meyer last year.
They've got big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan was one of them guys that always did his homework. He was always in the right place at the right time. I mean, his tackle records show it. His season last year shows it. What he's doing right now at Bemidji State shows it. He's not starting, but he's putting in the work, and he's one of their top athletes in my opinion. I don't know if there is filling those shoes. Dylan was a special kid on the team, and he was a leader also. He led by example. He was one of them guys, like I said, didn't say much, but he went out there and proved it every day, not just in games, but at practice, why he was a starter. If guys want to follow in those footsteps, they've got to they've got to go watch film on Dylan and follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely. One more here before we let you go, Joe. So next Friday, it's a big one. You guys have Pius. I'll be out there. The ticket will be covering that one. What do you guys need to do? It's an old Class B matchup. It could be very appealing to some just general high school football fans. What does Norris need to do to build off of that one and get a win and hopefully put themselves in a even better position for a playoff?
They need to do what they've been taught to do. They need to execute. They need to do their jobs and not do too much. I mean, that's where a lot of our problems have lied this year, is where a guy tries to make an extra 2 yards rather than, just going to the ground, and we end up losing the ball. Or Cooper trying to force a pass that's not there. He needs to protect the ball and, maybe just run out of bounds. Defensively, just stay in your positions. Do your job. Do not try to cut to the inside when you're supposed to protect the outside. Go through the A gap when you're supposed to go through the A gap. It's simple. I mean, it's real simple. It's all little things, and these guys have proven time and time again that they can do those little things. It's when they start trying to do too much is when we fall on our face. So if these guys do their jobs and execute their job to the best of their ability, there's not a chance there's not a chance for a loss. I mean, these are good athletes on this team, and they've proven it every week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. Joe, we appreciate the time as always, every single week. Have a great rest of your Saturday. I'll talk to you soon here.
Hey, Nick, we got to give a couple shout outs though.
Oh, absolutely. What's up?
Boys and girls cross country, EMC champions both. Last night, the girls softball team, district champs. They
I did see that.
State, and I believe the volleyball girls are on close to a record year right now. So all Norris sports right now are doing really well.
Awesome. So check out what's going on out in Firth, and we are taking note of everything going on out there. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Nick. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. That is Joe Davis of Ambition Electric joining us as he does every single Saturday here on the High School Saturday Show. Here in a couple minutes, we'll take a break. We'll be joined by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star to give us a rundown on everything else that happened. But I want to go back to this North Platte and Lincoln East game. I mentioned last week that Malachi Coleman got a Huskers offer. Extremely athletic guy. He's one of those guys that if you're watching the Spartans in person, he just looks different. It's just that eye, that the way that you can look and see that Malachi Coleman, the way he plays the game, he looks different. Extremely fun to watch, athletic, like a lot of the guys on Lincoln East's team. Cooper Erickson is in that category as well. Noah Walters, if you're just now joining us, 5 touchdowns last night in a 41-38 loss to North Platte. So number 10 North Platte was actually able to beat Lincoln East last night at home. However, Noah Walters, 5 touchdown passes. It's the 5th straight game he's had 5 or more. He now has 33 touchdowns on the season. And so definitely something to keep your eye on as we go forward here, because Lincoln East, they have an opportunity to make some noise in the postseason. And as a city, Lincoln, that's exciting to watch. So another score I mentioned earlier, Pius X got down early last night. Had a turnover early. They had that bad snap on a punt that went over Tyrus Pecci's head. Went over Tyrus Pecci's head, and he actually got the punt off. It just gave Omaha North the ball in plus field position on their the Bolt side of the 50. Omaha North was up 21-0 at half. However, in the second half, Pius's offense, it just isn't explosive enough to make up all that ground, if that makes sense. They really like to run the ball. They have some playmakers in Joe Staub, Sammy Manzito out on the perimeter, but their offense just isn't explosive enough, unfortunately, for the Bolts to put up 45 points in a half. They might be able to get a spurt there. They put up 21 in the second half last night, but they just weren't able to stop Omaha North. So Pius X loses 40-21. And I believe I was talking to one of their assistants last night before the game, and the way they made it sound like is that Pius needs to win out before last night's game. They needed to win out to put themselves in a position for a playoff spot. So there's a good chance Pius got eliminated there. All right, let's take a break. Don't go anywhere. 464-5685. Keep sending in your thoughts. If anybody you want to shout out, talk about, you want us to look into, send those in on the text line. You're always free to call in as well. In addition to the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, all that's open for you. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be back here in a couple minutes with Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star to give us the rundown on everything else that happened in the state. You're listening to the High School Saturday Show, sponsored by Ambition Electric.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
To eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back. Sure. Starter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. StarterHeyman.com.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Aggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bach from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Build your network, experience local business, and find out what local merchants have to offer all in one day. Visit the 2021 Lincoln Expo on Tuesday, October 13th at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Safely discover local business and shop local at the 2021 Lincoln Expo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
Who's in? Who's out? And what'll happen Sunday when the Broncos battle the Steelers?
Quick pressure on Ben Roethlisberger, and he is going to be hit and sacked.
Join Dave Logan and Rick Lewis as the Broncos try to bounce back into the win column.
Touchdown, Denver!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The worst of times can bring out the best in each of us. Doctors, nurses, and frontline workers have labored selflessly to keep us safe during the health crisis of our lifetime. How do we thank these heroes? It's simple. Get your COVID vaccine so we can end this pandemic. Variants are on the rise, and we don't want to put these heroes through another health crisis. They have given their all. Now it's up to you. Please do your part. For you, for them, for us.
This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Ticket, High School Saturday on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sainer back here on the High School Saturday Show, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. As always, 464-5685, Honda of Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line. You're always free to chime in all hour long, as well as on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find us there. Just a reminder, the guys from The Ticket will be down. We will be down there at Tipsy Tina's at 4 p.m. today to get you ready for Nebraska, Michigan tonight. Big game for Nebraska. I don't know if there's people already out there tailgating, but it feels like there's a different energy in the air. But there was definitely a different energy in the air on Thursday night at Seacrest. Luke Mullen was out there watching Lincoln Southeast and Bellevue East, I should say. Luke, how's it going, first of all? And number two, tell us about that one. Lincoln Southeast gets a big win, 35-0 over Bellevue East. Is their offense finally starting to find their way?
Yeah, it's going great, Nick. Thanks for having me back for another Saturday. Love talking all the high school football action.
Absolutely.
And, for me, you know, that effort from Southeast was really phenomenal to kind of show that they're bouncing back from some of those tough losses to those top 10 teams. And of course, you know, you have to have the caveat that Bellevue East, they're not a playoff team. You know, they don't have the same talent that some of these top teams will have. But to me, the most encouraging thing for Southeast is that its offense really seems to get going. They've got those star players, those guys that they need to get the ball, and they are really getting it to them. Their head coach, Ryan Gatilla, he's a smart guy. He knows how to use his weapons to his advantage. So what I really like to see, Tatum Tuioti, he's lighting up a little bit at tight end. I think he got in an offensive package at fullback. They lined up Jake Applegate in the backfield, still got Max Butenbach, Will Barrett on the outside, and Willem Reddick making some nice passes from quarterback. And, you know, you look at all those guys and you think, man, they should really be scoring the ball a little bit more than they had been. Well, you know, 35 points each of the last 2 weeks, really getting their season back on track and getting them to the spot that they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, one of those guys you mentioned there, Will Barrett, I saw on Twitter he took an unofficial visit to Kentucky. I think it was last weekend. Is that somebody that we need to keep our eye on for potential recruiting news down the road, or do you have any information there?
I think it was more as like a potential walk-on. I don't think they're making him an official offer as of yet. No.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure. And okay, one of those guys you mentioned, since we're talking about recruiting a little bit, is Tatum Tuioti. How has his season gone as kind of a whole? Because I know you've been able to watch Lincoln Southeast quite a bit. Obviously, he's the son of Nebraska coach Tony Tuioti. and I know he's got a couple high D1 offers. How's his season gone as a whole complete package?
Yeah, no, definitely his top position, defensive end. He's just been a force there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got great speed, great technique. He's kind of mastered the swim move, as you might expect the son of a coach like that. Just does a great job getting past the offensive line. And I don't have the stats on me, but I'm pretty sure he's top 5 in Class A in sacks. Had like 5 or 6, I think, on the season. And so just kind of getting that baseline success on defense, being able to rotate in a little bit on offense too. I'm sure that'll keep him engaged through the whole game, you know, trying to be out there for a couple offensive snaps as well. But yeah, just on defense, he's been kind of the force that you would expect him to be for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Last night you were out at Ben Stilley's old stomping grounds, Ashland Greenwood, for Ashland Greenwood and Wahoo, I believe. Good Class C1 matchup there. Tell us how that one unfolded. How did Ashland Greenwood hold Wahoo's offense to just 12 points? How did that one unfold?
Yeah, so I was really excited to see Ashland Greenwood. They had a really strong undefeated start to the year, my number 1 team in C1. But you know, Wahoo, they always have those great running backs. They got a big O-line, and you know, they test teams. They really do. So to see Ashland Greenwood pretty much hold Wahoo without a solid drive down the field for pretty much the whole game until garbage time in the fourth quarter, really got to give credit to kind of the front 8 for Ashland Greenwood. You know, the passing game, not really a huge part of Wahoo's offense. So it's going to be that D-line, those linebackers just filling up the middle of the field, not letting them bounce the runs outside, which Wahoo has a couple of really speedy running backs. So those defensive ends, those outside linebackers, they put in some serious work for Ashland Greenwood. And Carter Washburn, pick 6 from defensive end, defensive back, and also catching a receiving touchdown. I think just the all-around team effort was really impressive from Ashland. They definitely looked the part of an undefeated number 1 team. So yeah, it was a great game, great atmosphere. You know, the whole town of Ashland was out there, it was packed. Student section was loving it, and yeah, it was just a great Friday night for them.
What can you tell us about the C1 landscape? Because obviously, not being Class A or B, not a lot of people necessarily, you know, pay attention to it, especially in Lincoln and Omaha. What can you tell us about some teams to watch in Class C1 outside of Ashland Greenwood, obviously?
Yeah, so got to give a lot of credit to Boone Central. They knocked off defending champion Pierce 2 weeks ago. They're 7-0. They got a great defense, some really strong running backs. And with C1, it's kind of interesting. There's quite a few teams up there in kind of that 6-1, 7-0 mark. Milford, another school very, very close by to Lincoln. They picked up some really nice wins over the last couple of weeks. You've got Columbus SCOTUS, Kearney Catholic. Those teams are both 7-0 as well. Potential to make some noise here over the last couple of weeks. And there's going to be a big matchup, SCOTUS and Boone Central playing each other next week. So that'll knock out one undefeated, kind of get that playoff seeding a little bit more figured out. But yeah, Ashland Greenwood for me up there at number 1, but those other teams, Kearney Catholic, SCOTUS, Boone Central, Pierce, of course, defending state champs, they are all so close. A lot of great talent. The parity in C1 is very good. So would not be surprised to see some big upsets coming over the next couple of weeks.
So I saw this one last night out in North Platte, back to Class A action here. I guess I want to ask, how good is North Platte? I mean, I know they have a guy, Vince Genitone. I hope I didn't butcher his last name there. And they obviously run the ball quite a bit with him. They don't ask Caleb Tonkinson to throw it too often. So how good is North Platte? Is that a team that can make some noise come postseason time?
Definitely. I think North Platte is kind of edge of the top 10 level in Class A to me. And I had them at number 10 last week. And kind of the interesting thing for me from this game was that Genitone didn't actually run the ball that much. It was their other guys, their fullback Robley and some of the other rotational options at running back. I think the East game plan was kind of to stop Genitone, and they did that, but a couple turnovers I know hurt them a bit. Walters, he had just one interception I believe, on the season entering the game. And I think he threw one or two. I know they had a fumble as well. So that's always going to hurt them. And this in particular, I think, was a good test for East, because they had to go on the road to do it. We can talk a little bit about the potential seeding for Class A, but as of now, it's looking like East and Southeast are probably both going to be going on the road week one of the playoffs, that round of 16. I don't think either of them are in the top 8 to be able to host a playoff game. So, you get that road test against a playoff caliber team, North Platte. And you mentioned, that running style, that's going to be a lot different for East. They got this explosive offense that can score touchdowns in like a minute 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, then you give the ball back to the other team and they hold it for 7 or 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really tough. They're going to have to figure out how to get around some of those challenges.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. I remember at Lincoln East last game at Seacrest, they had 19 plays and they had scored 5 touchdowns in those 19 plays. It was remarkable of how quick they can score. I guess that's a good spot to go then. Lincoln East, obviously, like you just said, they're going to be in the postseason, but there's a good chance they have to go on the road to play. What is Lincoln East biggest weakness? Is it their defensive side of the ball? Is that what we worry the most going up against, a top, 5 team in Class A?
Yeah, it's definitely their postseason success is going to be dictated by their defense for sure. And it's kind of crazy for me to say this, but it seems like, Noah Walter's floor is like a 5 touchdown game.
Yeah.
They can pretty much rely on him to put up 35 points pretty much every night. So I think you really got to look at kind of that 38, 40 point range for East. If they can keep their opponents below that, they're going to have a fighting chance. Maybe it's a close one, goes down into OT, last score kind of dictates it. But if their opponent goes over 40, even with Walters, that's really going to be the benchmark for East, I think.
All right, couple more before we let you go here. We're talking to Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star, as we do every Saturday here at 9:30. Okay, Luke, where will you be next week? What are some games fans should be tuning in for, checking out Twitter for? Where are you going to be next week?
Yeah, sorry, I haven't decided my matchups yet. Yeah. Usually do that maybe today or tomorrow, but definitely if you haven't seen Noah Walters in person yet, I'll encourage you to come down to Seacrest, his final home game most likely against Lincoln Northeast. Northeast probably not a playoff team, so Walter's going to put up a lot of points in the first half there. So that'll be a fun one if you haven't seen him yet. And definitely I'm looking forward to seeing what Lincoln Southeast does over the next 2 weeks. They're going to Gretna this week, this Friday. So I might be interested in seeing that one. That's a real good test for them. Zane Flores, a top quarterback to kind of test that defense as well. And some big games going on in Class B, of course. You got Plattsmouth, who's undefeated. They're going to Beatrice. You got a couple other big top 10 matchups as well. So going to be interesting to see how those Lincoln teams kind of close out these next couple weeks. And as I kind of said, it's all coming down to playoff seeding right now. All these teams kind of fighting for those spots right now.
That Lincoln East and Northeast game, is that one on Thursday or is that one on Friday?
I believe it's on Friday. I think it's a doubleheader.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. So one of those plays at 4:30 and one of them plays at 8. So, all right. Yeah. Okay. Actually, before we let you go, I want to ask you about Northeast. Because they had to, Dylan Gray was injured last week, their quarterback. And so it was obvious from watching them, because I was at their game against Lincoln High last Friday, and they just didn't trust their backup quarterback to run the ball. What's the future look like for Lincoln Northeast? Because I know their fans, their parents, they weren't too happy that they were a run-heavy offense. But they had 0 wins last year. I believe they have 2 wins this year. How good of a job is Dan Martin doing as head coach of Lincoln Northeast?
Yeah, I really think Dan Martin, he's a great guy. He has a lot of love for the kids on his team. And really the challenge at Northeast for a couple of years just been kind of participation numbers, getting the kids out on the field every day for practice, just getting the numbers up, from a freshman level to varsity. getting the kids in the program for 3-4 years to really develop them. And so it's going to take time for him to achieve that just in his second year. I believe Creighton Prep head coach Tim Yonk, in one of our stories, journalstar.com, if you want to read our coverage, he complimented how far Northeast has come. They played them last year as well, these 2-year scheduling cycles. So, he's able to compare last year's Northeast team to this year, and he sees a big improvement. I do too. I think that run style is probably going to be their best bet. That's a lot of teams. If the talent level is maybe a little bit overmatched, hopefully you can run the ball, let your defense do your thing. And, they've been competitive too. It's kind of interesting, 2-5 record, but Columbus, that's going to be a playoff team. They only lost by about 2 scores. Lincoln High, you mentioned Dylan Gray got hurt and couldn't really put up the points, but the defense still did well. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of talented kids up there at Northeast. I like what Coach Martin is doing, and I think they got things trending in the right way.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Luke. I wanted to throw that last one in there on a whim, so I appreciate you bearing with me there. Appreciate the time as always. I always look forward to it. I guess I have to do this. Nebraska, Michigan tonight. What's the prediction there?
Put me on the spot.
Hey, I have to.
I'm gonna say it goes decided by a field goal either way, but sorry, Husker fans. I'm gonna say Michigan takes it 27-24.
All right, Luke is picking Michigan. Luke, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next Saturday. I'll text you here down the road.
All right, thanks, Nick. I'll see you next week.
That is Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star joining us every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Yeah, I wanted to throw in that Northeast one especially because that was very interesting. Not necessarily that they didn't trust their quarterback to throw the ball necessarily, but they have 2 guys in the backfield, Yvonne Alume and Brees Alume, that are very fun to watch. And so big guy that clogs up the middle, and Gavin Wilbur on the defensive side of the ball, right at the nose tackle position. And so Northeast is somebody that it's like, that's one of those sneaky teams that maybe if they catch somebody off guard or I wouldn't necessarily call them where it's a trap game if you're playing them, but it's something that you definitely have to watch out for because one of these games, I just feel like they're going to break open a big offensive surge there on that one. All right, let's take our final timeout. When we come back, we'll get to a couple of your texts, so send them in, 464-5685. We'll take your calls as well. I want to talk about some prep volleyball. There's a big matchup going on right now between Omaha Skutt and Papillion La Vista South. Class A number 1, Papillion La Vista South, and Class B number 1, Omaha Skutt. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'll try to get an update from that one. And then also we'll talk about a little bit of the rankings. Some teams had some really, really bad weeks. They started out ranked pretty high in Class A, lost a couple of their matches this week. So see where they fall. We'll talk about that. Once again, get to your texts, get to a couple other football games, and we'll wrap up the high school Saturday show sponsored by Ambition Electric next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
Alla knows businesses need reliable communication, both at the office and at home. Now more than ever. Just listen to Bill Mitchner from Lighthouse.
Before we'd have breaks in service, especially for internet, but we've never had any issues with Allo. So we've been there and available when we needed it.
At Allo, supporting your business is our business. To get your free quote and switch today, visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685 today.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years.
and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's Downtown Spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the sidetrack band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
Welcome to today's episode of The Great Unknowns. Last time we talked about why chickens can't just cross the road in peace. Today's topic is the great unknowns of the future. Like, am I ready for what life throws at me? Well, that answer is easy. Just call a local State Farm agent. State Farm agents will help you plan for the what-ifs in life so you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome the best fans in college football back to Lincoln. With gold-class certified service, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop can call the right place to keep you in the game. Whether it's in Lincoln at 88th and Highway 2 or at any of our other 5 locations across Nebraska, Eustace Body Shop can help get you back on the road. Go Big Red.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Happer and Shaper.
Welcome to my slam poetry.
I don't think it's like that.
Reading books. Listening to books. Please cut all of this.
Keep going.
Technology is the worst. Just like poetry, but not slam poetry. That's
Weekday mornings from 8 to 11 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lay the groundwork for more harvesting capacity when you order new John Deere combines and headers during Landmark Implement's early order program. Whether you're looking to improve your existing combine, corn head, or flex draper, or you've been wanting to update to a new model year, now is the time to upgrade. Get the very latest harvesting equipment and technology that fit your operations needs. Get your new John Deere harvest equipment built just the way you want. Contact your local Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bach from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Oh, God.
Ow! Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
The Ticket High School Saturday on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. One final time here on the High School Saturday Show, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainert with you this morning. Thanks again to Joe Davis of Ambition Electric. Thanks again to Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star for joining us, as they do every Saturday, giving us the information we need from around the state. Good stuff on C1 because not a lot of people pay attention to C1 stuff. So I'm glad that Luke was able to go out to Ashland Greenwood and Wahoo last night. Give us a little bit of update on that one. All right, we got a couple minutes left here. I said it before the break. I want to talk a little bit about prep volleyball a little bit. So right now, number 1 in Class A, Papillion La Vista South is playing Omaha Scott, who is number 1 in Class B. So make sure there's a lot of good volleyball matches. Joe talked about it earlier when he was on. Norris has a good matchup today. Make sure you tune in. I believe Cody Frederick of the Lincoln Journal-Star will have coverage of that one. I was talking to him last night, and he said that he will be out there today. Elsewhere in volleyball news, Pius X, they started out the week ranked 6th in Class A, and they kind of hit a rough patch. They lost all three of their matches this week to Fremont, Marion, and Papillion La Vista. So somebody or a team that started out 6th in Class A this week can assume or expect to drop a little bit in this next week's rankings. All right, one more game. I want to make sure we got through all of our games that I wanted to talk about here. I believe we did. So let's look at the schedule for next Saturday. Or I should say next Friday. Hit the button here. All right. Like Luke said, we have Gretna and Lincoln Southeast. Good matchup there. Jake Applegate, Tatum Tuioti, and Wilhelm Reddick, Max Butenbach of Lincoln Southeast going up against Zane Flores of Gretna. That will be happening next Friday night. Lincoln Northeast and Lincoln East, you can see Noah Walters in action, along with their high air raid offense with Cooper Erickson, Malachi Coleman. I will say this. Malachi Coleman, once again, he blocked a punt the first play I saw him in action. So that was a welcome sight there. We'll be out. The ticket will be out there. Pius Norris next Friday night. So I'll be on the call of that one. So make sure you tune in next Friday at 7 p.m. That is all for today. Make sure you tune in the ticket at 4 p.m. today. We'll get you ready for Nebraska, Michigan. Go Big Red. Have a good weekend.
Welcome back, Husker fans. Eustace Body Shop is happy to welcome